Hello, Black Comics Universe. This is Imani Latif, creator of BlackComicsUniverse.com. I'm bringing back my podcast, my weekly podcast. I'm calling it Black Comics University. And I thought, what a better way to launch this program with a breakdown of the Wakanda Forever trailer. Um, if by now, I'm sure you've all watched it, and I'm sure you've all watched several uh, very compelling breakdowns about the trailer, and pretty much all the ideas are the same about the trailer. There's been a lot of debate about recasting T'Challa and possibly capitalizing off of Chadwick Boseman's death. I'm going to get into that a little bit, but the reality is there's a lot with all the hype and drama around this trailer. There's a lot of things I think fans on both sides are missing in the trailer, and I want to break those things down for you. I'm not going to be in front of you long. If you think I'm crazy, I'm gonna throw out a lot of interesting theories here. If you think I'm nuts, share this video and tell everybody I'm nuts. If you think I'm on point, share it with your friends. Tell them how on point your boy is. I would greatly appreciate that. Also, we have a new YouTube channel, so please subscribe to that for more breakdowns like this. I also discuss Black comic book history and Black comic book collecting on a regular basis. So, all right, without any further ado, just a little pause for commercial identification, and we'll get it right into it. All right, you like the new graphics there? All right, so check it out. I'm not going to be in front of you long. I know that a lot of you have already watched the trailer, and it's pretty much, at least it seems to be pretty much self-explanatory, right? There are several scenes of what looks to be a funeral. We see Ramonda, uh, the mother of T'Challa, and Shuri um, explaining that her entire family is gone, right? Which I found very interesting. And but she's making a plea, as have I not given enough? Um, we also see what else. I was going to show the video, but I didn't want to take up too much of you guys' time. But the reality is, there was a not a lot really jumped out at me. It was very emotional for sure, and I think this is definitely going to be a film that's going to be emotionally charged because um, soon after Chadwick Boseman's death, this cast had to jump right into filming or refilming a lot of scenes, I would imagine too. So that's definitely something you feel from the trailer from the very start. Whether you are on the side of recasting T'Challa or on the side of moving on from the character, you will definitely see there's a lot of emotion built up in this trailer, right? And all the reactions, 90% of all the reactions I've seen, it's like practically everybody, sheds a tear when they watch the trailer. What else did we see? We saw the first scenes of Namor, and we saw a possible scene of who the next Black Panther might be. We got a clue. We got somebody wearing a suit, right? Is it the suit? Who knows? Um, so I have five things. So I've broken this down to five things that I noticed from the trailer that you need to key in on the next time you watch it. Okay. All right. The first thing is I want to talk about is our girl Angela Bassett, Ramonda, the mother of T'Challa and Shuri. Um, I'll be interested to know what role she plays now in this scene, in this film. Is she queen of Wakanda, right? Um, there's a lot of questions to ask politically in this film as to basically who's in charge. Um, what I wanted to focus on is the fact that she says that her entire family is gone, and everybody immediately saw, well, why did she say that if Shuri is in the film, is in the film or is in the trailer and things like that? And immediately I thought about the blip, right? In the blip, we know that both Shuri and the Black Panther are missing, right? Or presumed dead, right? So even if we even if we assume that T'Challa is dead in this film, right? Ramonda and Wakanda have mourned him twice at least, right? So they've thought he was dead when he blipped away or disappeared, and he thought they presumed him sure to be dead as well. Okay, so since we're in this blip, this statement kind of resonates with me because uh, I would imagine during those 5 years during the blip, Wakanda is still the most technologically advanced country in the world and has some of the most resources. And we might find that the rest of the world might be looking to Wakanda to take on a bigger role on a global stage than they're prepared for. And there's some suggestions in the actual description for this film that there are outside forces trying to take advantage of the fact that the Black Panther is gone, right? And we know for a fact that he was gone during that 5 year stretch, right? And we also know that Shuri was gone as well. So not only is the leader gone from Wakanda, the person that's in charge of all of their technological advancements is also missing. Okay, so this is a very important fact or idea to consider, that a good portion of this film might be taking place during the 5 years of the blip. And I think that goes to my next point that I have, is that I think this is going to be a very long movie, and possibly close to 3 hours, at least two. Definitely going to be over 2 hours for sure. But I wouldn't be surprised if this is a 3 hour film. I wouldn't also be surprised if this film was not resolved in this movie. Like, this might be leading into a part two of this movie. I think there are indications in this trailer that they're going to take on a very large scope here, and it's not going to all be resolved and end in this one. I think it's going to be moving towards another film that's going to resolve what is introduced in this film. I believe this is just the beginning. And so, not to say that it's like totally off the rails and not following the formula for the other MCU films. I just think that Ryan Coogler is taking a really huge moonshot with this film, and he's not going to be, and from all indications, he's not being constrained all that much as far as with Kevin Feige and all that stuff. So I think this is going to be a very huge undertaking, and this is going to be a very long film that's going to be covering a good portion of the blip, I believe. Right now, so another indication why I think this is taking place during the blip is this character here, Anika, right? Now she's called, the suit that she's wearing, if you notice, that is the suit of the Midnight Angels, okay? And it's played by actor, I think it's Michelle. I gotta pull it up. It was portrayed by, let me get the name right. Oh man. Anyway, it's portrayed by Michelle Cole, right? Michaela Cole. portrayed by Michaela Cole. Sorry for the hiccup there. But yes, Michaela Cole is playing the role of Anika. Now, it's not in her suit that she's wearing. It's called this is the Midnight Angel's suit. It's basically a armor. Okay. Um, in this armor, and this is what it looks like in the comics. She's able to fly in this armor. It's a lot like a Iron Man suit where it has weaponry and things like that. It's an extremely powerful suit, actually. And in the story is a pair of them, the Midnight Angels, her and her partner, are her life partner, are wearing the suit. Now, the other significant idea that this creates is that one that tells me, all right, so hold on, let me back up. Let me cover all my bases here. So we talked about the blip. Okay. That's the first thing to understand, at least from what I'm getting, is that I think a good portion of this film is going to be covered in the blip. And there's going to be a ton of political implications that occur because of the blip, mainly because the Black Panther is missing and Shuri is missing. All right. So the first thing to consider when you're watching the trailer is that I believe that a good portion of this might be taking place during the blip. All right. Next, they introduce a completely new character called Anika. All right. On top of all the other new characters, Anika is very significant, not only because of this new suit, the Midnight Angels, is because Anika is basically a rebel. She has left the Dora Milaje. She is a Dora Milaje, but she has left the Dora Milaje, and is basically a vigilante. She is breaking away from the traditional Dora Milaje group, and her partner are vigilantes, basically protecting the people of Wakanda from the warlords and things like that have sprung up for some reason in Wakanda in the comic book. Okay, so they feel like they are doing their job as far as protecting Wakanda, and they feel as if T'Challa, the Black Panther, is not living up to his responsibilities. They also believe that Wakanda should not be led by one ruler. And I think this is very significant, especially when we know that if this movie takes place during the blip, then there are going to be a lot of political factions within Wakanda, not just looking to gain power, but also looking to change the very political, makeup of the country, right? And this is a very good sign of that Anika is not only is she there to protect the people of Wakanda, she's insisting that Wakanda move on from the Black Panther. And I think that's a very significant idea to consider in this film, especially when you have Winston Duke out here. You can Google it. He's basically saying that be prepared to not get a story that's going to be basically what you expect. He's basically telling fans that you should expect a story that's not going to be what you want, basically. And I think it starts with this character here. So if they are looking to move on from the idea of the Black Panther, that changes a lot of things. That changes how that even suggests that all this talk about Shuri being the next quote unquote Black Panther, that might be a little bit hyperbolic, only because she might be in charge, but she may or may not be the Black Panther, right? It's something very interesting to consider that point. And I have another clue for you that goes right into that. So when I saw what Winston Duke said, it confirmed an idea that I was holding on to for a few days, and I almost ran to do this video, was that Um, Basically, if this is a story, a unique Black Panther story about Shuri specifically, right? Then it we may be pulling from a source that people aren't considering. Okay. Um, Everybody goes back to believe it's the Reggie Hudlin run of Black Panther where he introduces Shuri as the next Black Panther. I believe it's Reggie Hudlin. Um, and so they have her in the Black Panther suit. They have her, and there's several storylines where she fights. Actually, she fights Doctor Doom, right, as Black Panther as leader of Wakanda. Um, there is another storyline that about Shuri's story, right? That pulls from the Ta-Nehisi Coates run. All right. And this is where my theories are going to go off the rails here. So brace yourselves, buckle up. Um, so I don't think the Shuri story is going to be about her becoming the Black Panther. I think it's going to be about her becoming something totally different. And it was introduced in the Ta-Nehisi Coates run of Black Panther. Okay. So just to make sure y'all know where I'm at right now, I'm talking about Shuri. So we've gone through three things. One, the blip. Two, Anika, which I think signals that there's going to be a break from tradition. The idea that the Black Panther should lead Wakanda, which points directly to Shuri, who has already been known to break from tradition. You know, Winston Duke's character, M'Baku, makes a clear point to say this girl should not be in charge of even the technology. She scoffs at tradition. So the idea that she was going to follow in the footsteps of even T'Challa to become the next Black Panther is a bit might be a bit of a red herring actually. So really consider that this could possibly be a totally unique Shuri story, okay, which was told in a Ta-Nehisi Coates run. In the Ta-Nehisi Coates run, in the beginning of the storyline, Shuri is actually dead, or not necessarily dead. She's in like a stasis. All right. She's literally caught between life and death in a place that represents the present, the past, and the future of Wakanda. She's on another plane, quite similar to the astral plane, the ancestral plane in the Black Panther. And she is basically absorbing the entire history of Wakanda at this time. Okay. In the book, she's with her mother, Ramonda, who is guiding her through the story. But we know that this may not be the case because Ramonda is very much alive. But in this storyline, she basically is in this other place where she learns the history of Wakanda, and this might be where she went during the blip, right? This might be where she resides during that 5-year period, gaining all of this knowledge. So that's a possibility. But one of the biggest clues that I knew is this could possibly be coming from the Ta-Nehisi Coates run rather than the Hudlin run, which I'm fairly certain is a Reggie Hudlin run, is this outfit that she's wearing during the quote unquote funeral. Those earrings were a dead giveaway because, which are bad as to say the least. But this outfit that she's wearing is extremely familiar. And I couldn't put my finger on it until I pulled up this page from what I believe to be Black Panther number 8 from the Ta-Nehisi Coates run. And in this storyline, T'Challa is trying to pull Shuri out of this stasis, out of this plane where she, out of this death realm, right? He has her body encased in this glass, basically one of them stasis containers that they always have in the Marvel movies that your boy was in. The Winter Soldier was in one of those things, right? So in the comic book, she's in a similar place her body is, and they're trying to pull her back to the land of the living, basically. And when she returns, the very last page of this comic, she has this costume on. Okay, and notice the headdress and those earrings are the exact same earrings that you see in this scene. So again, even if it was just for um, aesthetics, it's obvious that they're pulling from the Ta-Nehisi Coast Run. We know that they're pulling the Ta-Nehisi Coast Run with this costume. We know that they're definitely pulling from the Ta-Nehisi Coast Run with this character. But this symbolizes another break from tradition, okay? Because this character, now when she comes back, she has powers. She has abilities of her own that are unique to her, okay? Not only is she's basically empowered with the entire history of Wakanda, from the beginning of time and she not only has insight into the present and the future of Wakanda. Okay, she has access to this type of information. Okay, she can also turn to stone, and a third power of hers is that she transforms into a flock of birds. Right, and she can fly. All right, so um, she has a very unique storyline of her own. So could possibly be an option. Instead of her becoming the Black Panther, she becomes a character of her own, Shuri, because she doesn't have, I don't believe, a new name. She's still Shuri, but now Shuri is this being that is capable of doing all these things. Okay, I have another clue for you that's tied to Shuri with this here. And this is basically what we're saying is the funeral. And I have an idea for you. I don't think this is a funeral. I think this is Shuri's coronation. Okay? Because it's very interesting, it's very celebratory. It never didn't feel like a funeral. And one of the most interesting, and like there's been a lot of breakdowns. They show there are scenes where you can see that Shuri is possibly holding the Black Panther's mask, and a couple of other people in the procession are holding the shield and the spear of the Black Panther. But is this a funeral, or is this a coronation of Shuri as the next Black Panther? You could tell in her face in this scene, even if this is when she's supposed to come to Black Panther, there's a lot of scenes where she has a lot of feels like a lot of trepidation about the idea in and of itself. At least maybe I'm digging a little too deep there, but all that to say, I don't think this is a funeral. I think this is her taking on whatever role she has been asked to take as the leader of Wakanda. That's my belief. Okay. So, and another clue that I have is that this scene here. Remember, I said that in the coach run, she has the power she learns the past, present, and the future of Wakanda. As when she visits, would possibly be the ancestral plane, or it could possibly be another plane of existence altogether while she's in the blip. What I find very interesting about this scene here, this throne room, it feels this is a prophetic scene. Okay. Again, it symbolizes the past where Killmonger burned all of the heart-shaped herb, right? Burned it all. So that's reminiscent of that scene. You have the water, the flood that's supposed to take place in Wakanda. that represents the future, the possible future of Wakanda. And you have Shuri alone in this scene, witnessing it all. So I feel like this scene, this throne room scene, actually takes place either on another plane of existence altogether. What's typically known in the Wakanda universe as the ancestral plane. I think this is where she is in this scene, and I think this is where she meets Killmonger, because there's rumors and there's been reports that um, Michael B. Jordan is supposed to be in this film, reprising his role, and I believe it's in the ancestral plane scene. I think it's here, okay? And if it's here, if she's taking, because supposedly all the heart-shaped herb is gone, so how she gets here is going to be very interesting to see how she even gets to this space. But I think the blip is the most logical answer to that. But if regardless, if she's here and she meets Killmonger as opposed to her brother, I believe she comes out of this wondering where T'Challa is. Okay? I don't believe she comes into this space, meets, regardless of how she gets there, and does not see her brother. Right? And if she doesn't see her brother, I don't see her coming out of this and not having a ton of questions. It's a very logical character. It's a very, she asks, tons of questions. She's a scientist, the whole 9 yards. I don't believe she comes to this space, not see her brother, and actually ask a ton of questions. Which brings me to my final point. Where is T'Challa? There's no indication in any of these scenes in this trailer that there's actually a physical body of T'Challa, right? Which I find very interesting. Even if what we believe to be a funeral is really actually a funeral, where is his body? They don't carry his body out or anything like that, right? And I've been thinking a lot about this particular part because when I was having a ton of debates, like everybody else has been on Facebook, about recasting T'Challa and stuff like that, someone in my timeline said, well, I hope that, T'Challa has a very heroic death like Tony Stark did. And I was just like, ugh, like, are they going to really have to write this scene where he has this horrific death? I don't know. I don't know if I could bring myself to watch that, even let alone write it, knowing that this person is, dead in real life. It's like, it's almost adding even more salt on the wound. So I firmly believe that his death is going to be shrouded in mystery. Okay. I think he's going to be presumed dead. It's going to be a need to replace him. But I do not believe that he is well, let me just make it plain. I don't believe he's dead. Okay. I believe he's missing. And I believe all of the things that are happening in this trailer, especially the actually coming across Namor, is because they are in search of him. Okay. I believe they come across Namor and Atlantis, supposedly Atlantis, so-called Atlantis, in search of T'Challa. Okay. That's what I think. I think that T'Challa is not, it might be presumed dead, but I believe that once Shuri comes from the ancestral plane, she's going to ask a lot of questions as to where T'Challa actually is. Because if his spirit is not in the ancestral plane, where is he? Okay. And other indications suggest that if that Killmonger is supposed to be the character that shows up in the ancestral plane, then if that's the case, then it's going to be a ton of questions as to where T'Challa is. All right. Um, and this is a good good place where I can jump in with a quick Namor theory. I don't have a ton of Namor theories, but I do believe that these scenes here are correlated. But I believe there's indications to me that some of this took place in the past. I believe that a lot of people are saying that believe that Shuri's in this suit. Some people believe this is a Killmonger suit. I actually believe this is a T'Chaka suit, T'Challa's father, and I believe that T'Challa might have had interactions with this culture, with this people, ages ago. You know, I wouldn't be surprised. There's a ton of stuff about T'Challa's lineage that always uncovers these interactions and these mysteries that end up eventually causing problems. The last movie, it was about Killmonger, who happened to be a relative of T'Challa, and T'Chaka had killed his father, right? I wouldn't be surprised if T'Chaka had some interactions with Namor, his people, and these attacks are retribution for that. Okay, that's what I believe. I believe that there's some similarities in the scenes where you see Namor that feel like they are taking place in the past. This is a good place to talk about the fact that Ryan Coogler does a very amazing job sharing the stories of what we call so-called villains. Okay, if you actually watch the Black Panther movie, right? The last Black Panther movie was barely a Black Panther movie. It was really a Killmonger movie because Killmonger was the only character in the film that had a complete story arc. We had his in that film. We had his origin story, right? The very first scenes in the movie are is of him and his family in Oakland, right? So you know his origin story. You see how he schemed to get back to Wakanda, right? You see how his rise to power, him defeating T'Challa. You see his defeat and his death. He has one of the most epic death scenes in film history. You know, basically bury me with my ancestors in the ocean, right? That was an amazing Black Panther story, but even a more amazing Killmonger story. And I believe that this is the type of storytelling Ryan Coogler is going to have in this film. And I think he's going to take us on a very similar journey with Namor and with Shuri specifically. Which brings me to my last little tidbit. Just real quick, I'll share. This is the book. Yes, Black Panther #8. This is the book that shows Shuri in that costume, like I was saying. And this brings me to my final point. Where's T'Challa? I think that after my weird theory, and I know this is bananas because I know we saw Black Panther in Endgame. I know. But I think T'Challa doesn't return from the blip. And if he doesn't return from the blip, there's going to be a ton of mystery as to where he is. If he's not dead on the ancestral plane, where is he? It might not have anything to do with the blip. In a story by Nnedi Okorafor called Shuri, which I think a lot of this story pulls from this too, T'Challa goes into outer space and is presumed missing as well, and Shuri has to take on the mantle of the Black Panther. So that's another idea there, right? Either way, I think T'Challa is not dead. I believe that he returned or is in outer space, which would lead us to, everybody say it with me. I'm sure my friends from Black Comic Lords might have picked up on this a few minutes ago, that I might be leading in this direction. Shout out to my man Richard Wright and um, and Paul and Herschel and all them cats at Black Comic Lords. Um, I believe they're going to introduce a version of the Black Panther intergalactic Empire of Wakanda story. We've already proven that we already know that they're pulling from the um the Coast Run, right, with Danica. Um, at the very least, costume design with Shuri, but I'm fairly certain that they're going to go in a different direction than making her the Black Panther, because I don't think, as much as everybody believes that it's logical to follow that storyline, I don't think the character is created to do that or wants to do that at all. And I think that she's going to go on her own path, following the Coast Run, and which leads us to this storyline, the intergalactic Empire of Wakanda. I believe that when we get to the end of this movie, or the end of two movies, because I honestly think that this is not resolved for another film. That's my idea. But somewhere in there, there's going to be a after credit scene where we have T'Challa waking up in a very different place, planet altogether. The beginning scenes of this storyline, T'Challa wakes up and finds himself in bondage, slavery, on another planet. And he has the most traditional hero's journey that you could possibly think of. He escapes bondage. He joins a rebel group of Seminoles that are freeing slaves intergalactically, and he defeats a quote unquote Killmonger character on an intergalactic uh, scale. And I believe that a version of this could possibly be where they're going with T'Challa. And they gave us a huge hint of this when in the What If series, when they dressed up T'Challa as the Star Lord, right? And it was a very popular and well received idea. It was voiced by Chadwick Boseman, right? It was one of his final roles actually before he passed. He voiced that character. I think we're going to find T'Challa is not on the planet Earth. He's somewhere in the universe, and either in this movie or the next, we're going to actually be retelling his unique T'Challa story on another planet. That might sound crazy, but I don't think I'm far off, because they've already, like I said, with the What If show, they've already given indications that they're want to be intergalactic with this character, right? Turn him, point him towards a more cosmic storyline. In the comics, they are literally pulling away from T'Challa as being the leader of Wakanda. There's all these clues that we are not going to get our typical Black Panther story. And this is where I'm going to leave you guys, so you have all 5 points to consider the next time you watch the Black Panther trailer. Go back, check out that trailer, and let me know if I'm bugging. Again, if I'm bugging, share it with your friends and tell people I'm tripping. If you think I'm on point, share it with your friends and let them know that your boy Imani Latif has a very interesting theory about the Wakanda Forever trailer. And please follow us. Actually, to watch this video or videos like this, join my Facebook group, okay? And you can now follow me on YouTube. Go to Black Comics University. Black Comics University on YouTube, and subscribe to my channel there. I'm just going to give you another quick breakdown just to give you as a reminder. All right, number one, remember the blip. I think a lot of this movie takes place during the 5 years during the blip. Number two, Pay attention to Anika. She represents basically a political faction of Wakanda that believes that there should not be a Black Panther anymore. That Wakanda should govern itself. Shuri, I don't believe that she might take on a leadership role. She might be in the head of Wakanda, but that doesn't necessarily mean that she has to be a Black Panther. And I don't think she's going to become the Black Panther. I think she's going to show that she has these unique powers of her own. Number 4, which brings me to what I believe to be her coronation, not T'Challa's funeral, because I don't think T'Challa's dead. I think he's missing. The only wrench in that is that if he's not dead, who the heck was that in Endgame? And frankly, I don't know. We have a secret invasion show and secret wars that's supposed to be popping up. And what if that was a scroll? Shuri has the technology. Shirley has the technology to create a suit that disguises her face and makes her look like, or anybody rather, I should say, someone else look like T'Challa, right? Because we know that T'Challa, Shuri, and the head of Dora Milaje is drawing a blank, but basically we're in Endgame. So it's not either of them in the suit, but who knows? That's the only real hiccup I have to my theory is who the heck is that in Endgame? But if you guys got theories that you would like to share to help me out with that, let me know, and I'll be happy to consider that stuff too. And please, if you think I'm crazy, let everybody know I'm crazy. All right. And I appreciate that. I appreciate your time. And with that, again, follow me on all social media, Black Commerce University. I'm Iman Latif. You can find me there as well. And I'm going to take my leave. I appreciate your time, guys. Peace.